Education, Training, and Youth Development Committee is called to order. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Santana,
Present.
House Jones,
Yes.
Gray, Cantwell, Sly, Spencer. Here. Stop. Please, Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. And today we're going to hear a presentation on resolution number 436-2025 by Council Members Casey, House, Santana. An emergency resolution adopting the Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights to declare the City of Cleveland's commitment to providing access to parks and green spaces and a wide variety of quality outdoor opportunities for every Cleveland child. This is exciting. This is probably the first time this happens through Workforce. So I did read a little bit about the legislation, so I'm really excited to hear the students. I want to thank you all, Councilman Zone, Councilman Casey, for bringing this up to our committee. Teacher, I didn't get your name, but I'm sure I'm hearing more about you. But you know what? Can we start with introductions? I want to know everyone who's on this table, and I want you to get to know us. So if council members could also introduce herself.
Yeah. My name, Councilwoman Santana. It's very nice to meet you, by the way. Thank you. My name is Mary Brown. I have been Mary Kennedy Brown. So if you see it out there, you'll see it a couple different ways. I have been a teacher in the Cleveland Metropolitan School District for a decade now. And as I just shared with my students, I'm also very proud Cleveland Metropolitan School District alum. And I've been working, this is my AP Environmental Science class, and we have been working on this legislation in the background of our learning around environmental science for the entirety of the school year. So this represents a lot of hard work. They, through this process, learned about green space inequity and what makes a quality green space and the importance of civic action in terms of ensuring that everybody in the city of Cleveland has that equitable access and, again, frequent, like you said, access to opportunities. So I'm very, very proud of them, and I'm very excited to see them do this or to propose this to you. The students will be introducing themselves with the right that they championed. Each slide that you see is representative of their individual effort to the collective. So.
Got it. Okay, so do you want to hold off until the presentation? Okay, Councilman.
Thank you, Chairwoman Santana. It's always good to be back in front of this important body of council. Thank you for what each and every one of you do. Being a public servant is hard work, and I know you give it every single day, and it sometimes can be a very thankless job, but I just have so much admiration for this body and for each one of you individually. My name's Matt Zone. I work for the Western Reserve Land Conservancy and been with them now, gosh, I can't believe it, almost 5 years now, but I've had the privilege of sitting on the other side of this table and served with many of you over the years. So our organization was chosen by the National League of Cities in 2021 to be a regional convener working with cities to establish active space and opportunities for children to explore nature. It was a partnership with the National League of Cities and the Children and Nature's Network. And so Chief Sonia Pryor-Jones was one of the first persons I called to say, you know, how can we penetrate this into kind of the work that the city's doing? And so Chief Pryor-Jones will speak a little bit to that. But we have been spending some time working in a grant-funded opportunity to really create the infrastructure within inside city halls. Another city we're working with is the city of Euclid and the city of Akron. But Cleveland will actually be the first across the finish line if you adopt this COBOR before those other communities. And so we're actually in the second phase of that work, and you know, Mary Kennedy Brown will explain a little bit about the new cohort and what they're doing. But I would like to turn this over to Chief Sonia Pryor-Jones to talk a little bit about her work in this space.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Zone, and thank you, Council Chairwoman and Council members. We're really excited about this. It is a brilliant example of what happens when classroom learning is bridged with the day-to-day activities in a community that actually impacts the lives of our children. And so at the top of this administration, in partnership with the Conservancy and National League of Cities, one of the several initiatives we partner with National League of Cities around. We were happy to convene city leaders as they were starting to think very early on about how their individual work across departments could support an effort like this. We also had Councilwoman House Jones engage with us at that time, and we really started to plan with the team, how can we make sure that our young people know we think it's important for them to have this Bill of Rights. Later on, Councilwoman House Jones and Councilman Casey also began to engage, and that's how we got here today. I will say you will see a through line of this outdoor Bill of Rights in some of our other work, particularly our prenatal to 3 agenda, where the families of our youngest children here in the city of Cleveland said it is important to them that their kids have green, safe spaces across the neighborhoods where their kids can play and live. And so I'm very excited to see our students as well as families with young children are all thinking about this, and we can support them.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you.
And so, Chairwoman and honorable members of council, what we're going to do is I'm going to turn this over to Mary Kennedy Brown, who's an exceptional teacher at John Marshall, who then each student is going to be presenting on a separate slide. We hope to get through this presentation in about 15 minutes so we can reserve a little bit of time of questions from members of council. And then each scholar will introduce himself as they present the slide. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mary Kennedy Brown.
Excellent, thank you, Mr. Zone. And thank you again, members of council and Chairman Santana. So again, I'm Mary Kennedy Brown. I'm a high school educator, science educator at John Marshall High School. And again, this is my AP Environmental Science course. I'm very blessed to get to teach that course. This work is built on the work that was done with National League of Cities as part of the City Connecting Children with Nature initiative, where Western Reserve Land Conservancy and Chief Pryor Jones and other amazing entities worked to kind of lay the groundwork for this Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights. Renee and I connected as an extension of that program, which is similarly funded and structured called Nature Everywhere Communities. And that was when I was working for the Conservancy for Cuyahoga Valley National Park, which I did briefly. So when I moved back to CMSD, I brought this work with me and was able to bring Renee and Western Reserve Land Conservancy's efforts into my classroom. My students learned about like I said, what makes quality green space in Cleveland. They learned about the importance of that access for mental and physical wellness and the economic benefits in the community, the ecological benefits. And they poured over data from over 400 surveys that came from Western Reserve Land Conservancy and Renee Barranca's efforts. So I want to shout her out there. And they were able to distill that information along with their own personal connection, right, to nature and the desired connection that they wish to have as they are growing up in Cleveland to these 12 rights that they believe that every city of Cleveland child and their family should have. So I'm very proud of them, and I'm very excited to give them the chance to present to you. And so I'm going to turn this over to my first student and allow her to introduce herself to you and share with you the infrastructure.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Ashley Cezino. I am from John Marshall High School, and I'm a senior. Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights, preambles. Whereas studies have shown that children who learn and play in nature are healthier, happier, and perform better in school. Children who have safe access to zoos, nature centers, lakes, and rivers, and other public outdoor areas are more resilient, more confident, more creative, and better problem solvers. Children who develop a positive relationship with nature are more likely to become tomorrow's caretakers for our natural heritage. Children and families will have access to Cleveland parks, pools, trails, playgrounds, and green spaces where they can freely play, feeling secure and safe. Through its parks, trails, lake shores, green spaces, and other outdoor areas, Cleveland provides a wide variety of quality outdoor opportunities for its residents. Therefore, we adopt this Children's Bill of Rights, Outdoor Bill of Rights, in which every children in Cleveland has the right to. My colleague will continue.
Good afternoon, members of council. My name is Yasmin Moore. I'm a senior at John Marshall Civic and Business Leadership. And for our first right, we believe that children deserve the right to breathe fresh and clean air. Breathing fresh air helps decrease the risk of asthma in children. Less pollution means lowering risk of premature death and other serious health effects.
Good afternoon, members of council. My name is Jackson Ebner, senior at John Marshall Civic and Business. And every child in Cleveland has the right to recreate safely on the beaches and in the waters of Lake Erie, as well as they need safe and accessible water for children, their friends, and their families.
Good afternoon, City Council members. My name is Joseph Bassnett, and I'm a junior in John Marshall High School of Engineering. We believe every child has the right to play in clean parks, green spaces, rivers, and streams. Clean parks, green spaces, and rivers give kids a place to run, explore, and grow stronger.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Derek Tran. I am a senior at John Marshall School of Engineering. We believe that every children in Cleveland should have safe access to safe trails in parks that connects to the community and green space and safe biking trails.
Slow down, you got this.
Yeah. Let me rephrase. I believe that children in Cleveland should have access to green space and safe biking trails because they are essentials for their learning as well as adults to de-stress.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sana Samadali. I'm a senior in John Marshall School of Engineering, and we believe that every student in the city of Cleveland has the right to hike and explore safely in nature. In Cleveland, children have the right to access safe outdoor spaces and experience nature, which is crucial for their physical and emotional development. Thank you.
Good afternoon again, Council. My name is Jackson Ebner, senior at John Marshall Civic and Business. And every child in Cleveland has the right to walk along tree-lined streets in their neighborhood. Children walking on residential and urban streets with a dense and diverse tree canopy not only are living in a healthier environment, but whether they are in parks or in their neighborhoods, nature is present and abundant.
Good afternoon once again. My name is Ashley Cedino. Children in Cleveland have the right to play in the snow, build a snowman, ride a sled, throw a snowball. This means that children deserve to have the ability to thrive in any weather.
Good afternoon. My name is Rimal Zine. I am a junior at John Marshall High School. I believe every child has a right to dig in soil, plant and nurture a seed and watch it grow. Planting a seed fosters a connection to nature and teaches patience, responsibility, and care for the environment.
Good afternoon, members of City Council. My name is Arpan Gising, and I'm from John Marshall School of Engineering. We believe that every children should have the right to engage and connect with their community at events in parks and green spaces. Bringing the community together creates new bonds with your local and extended neighbors and strengthens existing connections.
Good evening, esteemed members of City Council. My name is Tori Mayer. I am a junior from John Marshall High School of Engineering. We believe that every child in Cleveland deserves to bond with family and friends over an outdoor meal. Fresh air and nature brings a calming atmosphere that creates a welcoming space to share stories and laughter. I will pass it to my next colleague.
And greetings, members of the City Council. My name is Olivia Taylor, and I'm a senior at John Marshall of Engineering. I feel like the children of Cleveland should have the rights to watch the stars shine and bright during a peaceful night of camping. Spending time outdoors at night allows us to enjoy the nature we cannot always see and hear.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Hunter on Pablo Hill. I'm from John Marshall. I'm in 11th grade. And we believe every child should have the right to learn in nature, building confidence, to be stewards of our natural world. And we believe that I believe spending time outside, exploring and learning about the nature surrounding us helps children to recognize the things that the natural world has to offer and the importance of a healthy and natural world.
That's it.
Thank you, Council, for allowing us to present this, to present the proposed Children Outdoor Bill of Rights to the City of Cleveland. We would also like to thank our colleagues at Western Reserve Conservancy, Children and Nature Network, and the National League of Cities. The mayor office and council members, Brian Casey, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, and Stephanie Housey Jones.
Yeah.
And again, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. But we will now open up the floor for any questions you would like to have asked.
Madam Chairman, could I just make a brief comment, and then we'll turn it back over to you to walk us through facilitated question. This is incredibly brave on these young scholars. It can be very intimidating coming to this committee table and speaking, and I'd just like to maybe pause and show our appreciation for these young scholars if we could.
Councilman, you took the words right out of my mouth. Look, I'm emotional. It's just, I have 2 kids, right? And I remember before running, the litter and garbage in our neighborhood really impacted my son mentally. So to see all of you here today, right, working on this and coming to the table and the way you guys just carry yourself, and I didn't see any of you guys were nervous. It's like I could feel the passion, and I'm just really excited for you. I wish I would have had opportunity for government access when I was growing up. The first time I came into this building was when I was being sworn in of council. So you guys are already way ahead of us. And so I want to thank you. I want to thank you. And I can't believe we're the only ones, right, in Ohio that are adopting this Bill of Rights. And so that's for me. I have no question. Oh, yes. I do have a question. With all this social media right now where everyone's on the phone, kids normally don't go outside. I mean, do you guys go outside and enjoy the environment? Yes, you guys go on walks? Yes, let's come on up. Look at me.
That's a good question. Yeah. So I would say outside time is very important. So I just try to go as many parks as I can. I also like to go, let's say, Beechwood Park. Those kind of parks are very, very nice. And I feel like technology shouldn't interfere with nature. So it's very important to have both. So.
Okay. I love it. Go ahead.
I was having a conversation with my mother, and she's okay with kids being on the phone, but as long as you go outside and being on your phone, I feel like that alone would, boost their mental health and boost their emotional health as well.
I would just say spending time overall outside, during like football workouts or any sports is just beneficial than rather just sitting at home, playing a game, watching something.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you can see the difference in yourself.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I don't get out as much as I did as a child. But recently, me and my friends were at the park. We went to Impet Park, and it was fun. Like, I think a lot more kids should start going outside more. It feels so good to just be outside, not worry about your phone, social media, just feel like a kid again. So yeah.
Me personally, I grew up outside every day of my life. I grew up in actually Akron, Ohio myself, and as a kid, I played outside a lot, and kids always played outside. And I've noticed as I've grown up that I don't see as many kids, and I don't see as many kids outside or enjoying the things that I did when I was younger. And like she said she goes to Beechwood Park. It's like, I feel like you shouldn't have to go all the way that far just to be safe and feel like a kid should and be able to play outside, because it's something that every child should have access to.
You are so right. That was good. So now I'm going to open it up to my colleagues for questions. I'll start with my Vice Chair, Councilwoman House Jones.
I don't have a question for you all. I just want to say thank you. I mean, I know Chief Pryor Jones talked about some of the history of, like, at least the city's involvement in working to get to this point. Former Councilman Matt Zone. Prior to me being in City Council, I was a member, actually a board member of the National Caucus of Environmental Legislators. And prior to COVID, there has been a growing movement across the country to really focus and prioritize, you know, the outdoors and our young people. There is something when you look at just restoration and healing and just being free. There's things that happen. You know we have this Western medical society that wants, you know, that feeds us a lot of other stuff, but there is a lot of things that can be experienced just by going outdoors. And so really was very excited that we were approached, my colleague and I, to get out the way and let y'all lead. You see what I'm saying? I think that's one of the things for me is I didn't have many comments because I'm like, our young people know what they want. They read, they're studying, they're in engagement, and this is a testament to the work. And I think it really is a model for many of us that are in these positions to do more listening and allow the people to bring forth substantive legislation, things that will help us, you know, either to be concerned about or things to act on. And you all are leading the way. So I really want to just take a moment and time to just say thank you. We appreciate your hard work. And we hope as we go through this process, hopefully successfully adopting the resolution, that many of us will be more aware and connected into this network to, you know, unleash just the power of the outdoors for young people. So thank you.
Councilman Casey.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Madam Chairwoman, and to my colleagues, you've heard me say this off the table, but I don't think I've ever said it at the table. And this is how we roll in the 1-6, right? This is a prime example of kids engaging with their adults, their supervisors, their teachers, seeing a problem, wanting to solve the problem, and then bringing the problem to the individuals who have the ability to make it law. And you did it the right way. And to piggyback on Councilwoman House Jones, we didn't dictate it. And that's the exciting thing about it. You guys saw the problem. You guys came up with the solution. You came to us, and then we were able to help put this thing into law. And COBOR is what we're calling it. Councilman Zone, I don't know if you've heard that yet, but we're calling this COBOR. And to my friends who live in Ward 16 and John Marshall High School, which is the high school that I get to represent, which is an awesome, awesome school. I want to put a challenge out to you guys and to your advanced class. Does anybody know where Terminal Park is? You guys, I see some head noddings. It's a park that's right down the street. And I'm getting ready to redo that park with new equipment and everything. But I am challenging John Marshall High School to come up with the design of what that park needs to look like for the youth in the neighborhood.
That's great.
So is that how you do it? Yeah? Is that a snap? Is that a snap? You know, when we go to redo parks, it's usually the city comes up with the design. But in this case, because you guys are so engaged and you guys would utilize the park, I want you guys to design the park for us. We'll come up with the financing and the funding and everything else, so you don't have to worry about that with the help of the Western Reserve Land Conservancy. We're gonna have the youth of the city of Cleveland design our first park in Ward 16. So that's my way of giving back to you so that you guys can tell us what that park needs to look like. Right now, it's an underutilized park with with 2 ball diamonds. We don't have to keep, whatever you guys want to do. It's a nice big park, and however you guys want to design it and come up with the way that it could be best utilized, right? I'm beyond climbing on monkey bars, and I'll swing on a swing with my own kids, but I'm not doing that. But whatever you guys see fit that you guys would like to see in a park, we'd like to see that. And the one impressive thing that I've noticed about this is that when people think green space and parks, they always think the summer, right? And you just think it's nice outside. But you guys, in your presentation, actually utilized all 12 months and all times of the day. So you guys had the daytime, then you had the star at night, and then I almost was overly impressed when I saw the snowballs, right? That just because it's not 80 degrees outside doesn't mean that we can't utilize our outdoor space. So congratulations, I'm overly impressed. I'm honored to be the council person that represents John Marshall High School, and probably, I know at least you, right? That I represent where you guys live in the neighborhood. If there's anything I can ever do for you guys, especially you seniors, please don't hesitate to reach out. We do have voter registration cards too, because that's another way for you guys to stay civically engaged, right? You're at that time of your lives where, you know, if you're 18, you know, you've seen the process now of legislation and how council works, and we're only here because people like you put us here. And we're honored and we're privileged to do so. Madam Chairwoman, we do have a resolution afterwards to present to the kids and Ms. Brown and Councilman Zone. So whenever you feel appropriate for that, we can present them with the resolution as well. I want to thank my colleagues for supporting this. The way this goes is it was introduced last Monday. And introduced means on a Monday night, it gets read into the record for the first time. Then it goes to committee hearing, which is what we're in now, and then it'll be voted on amongst the members of this committee, which is workforce and development, workforce training, education, and youth development. All of that combined, so it passes out of here. And then next Monday night, it will go to the floor of City Council for the whole council to vote on it as a whole. At that point, congratulations, it's in the record, it's a resolution, it's forever in the books at Cleveland City Hall. So congratulations, it was a lot of work, it was dedication, and we couldn't be more proud of you. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. That was good. Ashley, I'm just curious, what ward do you live in? Oh, okay. I thought you said except for her.
No, definitely.
Oh, definitely. Oh, okay, got it. Okay. Any Ward 14 students?
You know, Madam Chairwoman, that's a question. Since we're engaged in politics and civic, does everybody know what ward they live in?
Oh, okay.
You used to live in 16. Does anybody else know what ward they live in?
No?
16, another 16? All right, maybe Mary, maybe you can have me out and we can go over, you know, local politics and that stuff, where we live and how government actually occurs at every level. All right, I'd love to come out before the end of the year.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, back to your point. Budget. Okay, Councilwoman Spencer?
Hi, everybody. My name is Jenny Spencer, and I really want to echo all of the appreciation that's already been expressed by my Cleveland City Council colleagues. This has been absolutely amazing, and I'm so honored to be a part of this with you all. And it's hard to follow Councilman Casey because he just offered up that you all will be designing your own park. So it's a little difficult to follow Councilman Brian Casey. But actually, some of my comments were along the lines of what Councilman Casey was saying. So I could not agree more. That I was just thinking about what are some, you know, this is a big deal. You coming and presenting to City Council today is a big deal. But what's the next step? How do you go deeper? What does that mean? You've come and presented to your elected officials. Now what? Okay? So you're designing a park. We know that. I could not agree more with the voter registration. And I wanted to add, if you are 18 or if you will be 18 on or before November 4th, 2025, you can register to vote now. okay? So if you're already 18, or if you will be 18 on or before November 4th, you can already register to vote, okay? So that's one point. Just stealing his thunder there, following up on that.
Councilwoman Spencer.
Yes.
Councilman Zone wants a point.
Oh, sure.
So through the chair to Councilwoman Spencer, first of all, excellent question. You know, what's not lost on me, and Mary Kennedy Brown made it in her opening remarks, we put an online survey online, bilingual, Chairwoman Santana. We had over 400 respondents. These young scholars poured through those 400 survey responses. They were the ones who drafted the 12 elements of this Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights. So to Councilman Casey's point, again, you're empowering people to make decisions, to prioritize what the community wants, and to put that in motion. So I didn't want that to be lost on the members' mind as you're asking questions. And then the second comment to Councilwoman Spencer's point, like what else? What happens next? I'm hopeful that individually as members of council, you will champion this in your wards. I'm hopeful that maybe the city administration will post this Outdoor Bill of Rights in every city rec center. If there's outdoor message boards at city parks, that this resolution is posted. And then have the opportunity for these young scholars to engage with the student working group that I know Mayor Bibb has convened on really penetrating this work in everything that the city does and touches. Last comment, and then then I'm done, but thank you for entertaining me.
That's great.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you again, members of council, Chairwoman Santana. Just to kind of piggyback off of what Matt Zone said, if you look at this slide here, you'll notice some familiar faces. These are the students, many of which are in those photos that presented to you today. And that's because as an educator, I have prioritized this the entirety of my career. And so just to kind of, again, build on this idea that it is woven into the fabric of our community, these rights to outdoor experiences and spaces, and just recognizing that this is beneficial to them. I would also like to just to underline the point that there's lots of different pathways for this, and I would love to see educational experiences outside prioritized as well, because, and I don't know if any of my students can attest to this, I believe they can, for a lot of them, this was an exceptionally outdoor-heavy year, right? What do you guys think? Yeah, and that should not be an anomaly. So I just want to make that point. And I think that I would love to see the city of Cleveland partner with the many, many, many amazing organizations like Food Strong, like I said, the Conservancy for Cuyahoga Valley National Park, the Cleveland Metro Parks. Obviously, there are a number of great entities to make sure that experiences like this are not unique to my students or the other great teachers and informal educators that prioritize this, but that it is part of every child's experience, frequently every single year of their life, so that they continue to do that for their children and as adults, and that they prioritize outdoor experiences and our outdoor environment and are committed to our community, right? And that part of our community. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. That's great. Councilwoman Spencer.
Okay, and I will be brief because I know a number of our colleagues also want to make comments and ask a few questions. So just to conclude what I was going to reflect on in terms of where do you go from here? And it sounds like there's already a lot of wonderful ideas. I really want to thank Councilman Casey for his suggestion of coming in and speaking with you further about knowing who your council people are, okay? And it's actually really, if you want to do it sooner than that, it's really easy. You go to clevelandcitycouncil.org and click on Find My Ward, and you put your address in, and it'll tell you who your council person is. So one thought is, once this Bill of Rights is passed, email your council member. Say, I'm one of your constituents. My family lives in your ward. I'm introducing myself. I helped create the Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights, and so I think it's important that emerging citizens, you are citizens, but young voters like you know how to advocate to your elected officials and know who they are. So that's just another thought. And then one other piece of being an active and engaged citizen is information. And I wanted to share, in case everyone didn't know, the city just finalized its Cleveland Parks and Recreation Plan. And you can go to cleparksrecplan.com and learn about the city's plan for outdoor green spaces. And I believe there are still ways to get involved in that. So Councilman Casey is offering the involvement at Terminal Park, which is amazing. Maybe you can invite all your colleagues just to come, and that sounds amazing. But for parks, in case you don't live in that neighborhood or there are parks near you, you might want to look up the parks plan so you know what is being planned near you too. Because I really appreciated, is it Mr. Ebner, your point about you shouldn't have to leave your neighborhood to have access to green space. So anyway, you all were so impressive, given us a lot to think about and some next steps on our end as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Next up, I have Councilwoman Gray.
Thank you, Chair. I want to just echo the colleagues as well. This is a fantastic. I am so impressed with you guys giving yourself to the community, and all what you're doing with the parks is just awesome. But I also want to say my 2 sons graduated from John Marshall, the old John Marshall. One in 1999 and the other one in 2009. So they way older than you guys, but they are successful young men, and they are doing great things. So I am appreciative that you guys are at the table. So congratulations to that. But I'm just all in all with what you guys doing for your community and for the parks. I think it's amazing what Casey and Councilwoman House brought to the table is fantastic. I'm going to be short and brief too, but I also want to add on to what Councilwoman your name again? Mary Kennedy, what you said, that other things can come from this amazing Bill of Rights Bill of Rights for the city of Cleveland, the Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights. I just want to just tag this out here. I have a job purification program that I created 3 years ago for children 14 to 17, and it's citywide. This program consists of 12 young men and women hired in the community to clean up the sidewalks and the curbs throughout all the city, and it's every summer from June to August. It's just the 3rd year that has been presented. So these bunch of children also get out in the community to engage in their community, also to clean up, to see how they can be more invested in the community, to do a very great outdoor event as well. But just to say that, it's amazing that youth are now getting out there to engage, to do a lot of things in the community and to help clean up, because I see that you have this down here, that they're out in the parks also cleaning up as well. So just to say that, this is what they are wanting to do. Not have to, wanting to do. So I think this is amazing, fantastic, and I am also appreciative of this coming to the table from our colleagues. So kudos to you guys, and keep doing great work, and I know this is going to be a long-lasting journey. So,
Thank you, Councilwoman. Next up, I have Councilman Starr. No?
Thank you. No, just to echo some of my colleagues, I do support the initiative when it comes to youth. This is a great opportunity to be able to do something that you want to do. Oftentimes, as our youth, you get told from adults what you want to do or what you should be doing without you having that real expertise or your opinions, your thoughts to be able to support this. So I definitely want to say congratulations, obviously, to my council colleagues for this important ordinance that we bring in here, this resolution adopting Children Outdoor Bill of Rights to declare City of Cleveland's commitment to providing access to parks and green space to the community. That is something that is very important, and we should not take this as something we just did, but this is going to be something that we're going to have action behind it, and with the support of our council members, Councilman Casey, as well as House Jones, this is going to be very impactful for you all, but I want you to make sure that we're doing what you want. Never be afraid to say no. Never be afraid to say this is not what our intent is. Make sure your opinions, your thoughts, you are boisterous on what you want to see as this get done. This is not something the council or the administration is trying to carry over. We want you to lead it. We want you to support. We want to be able to support you, but we also want to make sure your vision come true. All right? Don't just say it because we're at the table. Once we get off the table, making sure we roll up our sleeves. And if you have any hiccups or need some support, that's when you reach out to us to continue to help guide you to make sure this happens. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity. This is a great initiative. I want to ask Councilman Casey, is it possible if I could be added to this?
Oh, yeah.
To the chair?
Of course.
Yeah.
I think I would love to be added because I am the.
Everyone wants to be added? Madam Clerk?
Yeah, I'm the youngest on Cleveland City Council at this table.
He don't look the youngest.
Look, we crack jokes as well with each other, so no, but just definitely, but definitely, this is just a great opportunity, and I appreciate the initiative and this approach. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Joe Jones?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. This distinguished gentleman, Mr. Hunter, he lives in my neighborhood, and I was telling him how he could talk to you. Go ahead and practice.
I know who my councilman is.
Now, push it back again. Now, what you do is if you want to get the attention of the chairman, you have to say, Madam Chairwoman.
Madam Chairwoman, may I have the floor?
Yes.
Can you tell him, I know who my councilman is?
I know who my councilman is.
And who is he? And who is he, Mr. Hunter?
Joseph T. Jones.
There it is. There it is. Madam Chairwoman, you know, we have a great, bright generation of young people sitting here at the table. And I just want to take the opportunity to thank Matt Zone, Mary Brown, Director Sonia Pryor-Jones for bringing this wonderful group here. Looking at your resolution is a very powerful statement. It is your generation that's going to be responsible for taking care of the planet that God has given us. And it's not just incumbent upon what we do here today, but it's going to be your continued actions, because protecting and keeping our planet is going to be incumbent upon you for your children and your children's children. So we appreciate here at City Council this resolution. I wholeheartedly support it, Madam Chairwoman, and I just love you young folks who are here today. Keep up the great work that you're doing. Continue to be outstanding. Continue to hope. Continue to see positive energy in everywhere you can go. Even when you are met against negative odds, always walk around it. And if you continue to do that, you will be very successful in the future in whatever your endeavors are. And I'm Councilman Joe Jones, and I approve that message. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. So I think now is a good time. First of all, happy Earth Day. You know what? Yes. I feel like we should have opened with that, but I'm going to turn it over to Councilman Casey as he presents the resolution.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Married to, I know you as Mary Ann.
Yes, fine.
Kennedy
We know
Brown.
each other quite well.
Yes. To you and to the students at John Marshall High School, whereas studies have shown that children learn and play in the nature healthier, happier, and perform better in school. Basically, it is your Bill of Rights outlined in a resolution from Cleveland City Council that this council will adopt the Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights and declare the City of Cleveland's commitment to providing access to parks and green spaces and a wide variety of quality outdoor opportunities for every child, and that this council directs the clerk of council to transmit copies of the resolution to John Marshall High School Civic and Business Leadership Sustainability Club and to you yourself. So congratulations on behalf of myself, Councilwoman House-Jones, and the rest of you.
Yeah, we're going to put this in our hallway for sure. Thank you
I love
so
it.
much, Councilman.
You're
Thank you.
Casey, thank you again, Madam Chairwoman.
I would say thank you. I mean, this really filled my heart today. This is why we're here. This is the type of work, you know, this is what makes our role meaningful. And you guys are the future, and you guys are just brilliant. Thank you for also breaking this like vicious circle of like social media, right? And always being in the house. We know that mental health has increased, and because kids are just locked up in their room, they're isolating themselves. I just learned of this new thing of grounding yourself, right? Going outside. I know a lot of people know about it, but just going outside and putting your feet on grass. And I think they're doing this in CMSD schools, and it's really bringing that anxiety down and that mental health situation that's going on among our kids. So thank you all. You guys were wonderful. Once again, I'm Councilwoman Jasmine Santana, and you guys have made my day. Thank you, Councilman Casey. Councilman Zone. Yes.
Hey, Brian, Casey. I was wondering how long it took to grow a beard like that.
Growing, it's not the hard part. Keeping it this long and maintaining it is the difficult part. But it only took me a couple of months.
Councilman Casey, maybe you can include that in your presentation to the students when you go in to talk about civics.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, there we go. Well, once again, thank you all. Thank you to the team, everyone who was involved, Councilwoman House Jones, Casey, just all my colleagues for being here, and thank you guys. Okay. Thank you. And we got to vote on it? We have to, I don't know if it's in that vote. Okay. So Resolution 436-2025, adopting the Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights to declare the City of Cleveland's commitment to providing access to parks and green space and wide variety of quality outdoor opportunities for every Cleveland child. No other questions. We pass this to finance, I would say.
To the floor.
To the floor. Okay, it's not even going to go through finance. Yep. Okay. So thank you. It's approved, and we adjourn. Wonderful. Well, this part. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. So now we are going to transition here in legislation. If all the presenters could come to the table. We have one. Chief, thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. It's aquí, espérate. Oh, everybody has to sign it, yeah. Here we go, honey. You go first. Wow, this is a fat one. Thank you. Hi, how are you? Good. Yes, it was. And go ahead, honey. Whose birthday is it? I'm making it up. It was Earth Day. Earth Day. Oh, it's Earth Day. Oh. Happy birthday. Are you an Aries? No, he's not. When's your birthday, Sly? March. Oh,
we missed it.
Sorry.
We missed it. You guys,
early March?
No one said anything.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Okay, thank you, everyone. Oh, Councilwoman House. It's so weird to see her across the table over there. So now we're going to hear ordinance number 104-2025 by Mayor Bibb, Councilmember Santana, Slife, House Jones, an emergency ordinance to supplement the codified ordinance of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976 by enacting new section 66901 to 669.07 and 669.99 relating to the unlawful discriminatory salary practices and to amend various sections of the codified ordinance. Thank you all for being here. I think Ms. Sabin is going to present the ordinance. We'll start with you.
Good afternoon, committee members.
Good afternoon.
So I'm presenting ordinance number 104-2025. This ordinance enacts new sections in Chapter 669 relating to unlawful discriminatory salary practices. The purpose of this ordinance is to close the gender wage gap through two key components. The first is this ordinance prohibits employers in the city of Cleveland from inquiring about the salary history of an applicant. And two, this ordinance requires employers in the city of Cleveland to provide the salary range when posting a job position. There's an executive summary / policy brief on your tablets. I'm happy to answer any questions, and with that, Chair, I yield.
Thank you, Ms. Saban. Councilwoman House Jones, do you want to add?
Yeah, no,
anything?
again, I guess if people, Brooke talked about the unlawful discriminatory salary history practices that are outlined in the legislation. There's also of how would you actually administer it. So that goes into the Fair Employment Wage Board, outlining their roles and responsibilities once and if this legislation is successfully passed. It outlines how community members who feel like, if they did approach a job or an employer who asked or based their hiring decision off of a past salary history, outlining the rules of like where to go, which is the Fair Employment Wage Board. And then within this, there are some civil penalties and fines for people who have been found, I guess guilty. It is guilty. Yes, guilty of being in violation. But the idea is not to penalize individuals. What we are looking for is creating an environment where individuals are working in partnership with workers, right, to ensure that people are being equitably paid for the work they are doing and contributing to a company's bottom line. And so that's what we have in front of us. I know that we have some other community partners that would like to chime in and give their 2 cents. And so I'm
Abby,
gonna pass them on
Grace.
to Abby and the Grace. Just press hard.
Yeah, you gotta press super hard.
Hi, everyone. I'm Abby Westbrook. I'm the Executive Director of Collaborate Cleveland. Along with the Northeast Ohio Worker Center, we co-chair the Cleveland Pay Equity Alliance, which is an alliance of over 30 organizations from across the city that have come together to work towards fair wages in a Cleveland that truly supports workers and families. We do this because we all know what you all know: when workers and families are thriving, our city is thriving. We want to thank City Council for your commitment and the demonstration you've made to workers and families through passing the wage theft ordinance, reinstating the Fair Employment Wage Board, passing paid parental leave for municipal workers, and this legislation which you have introduced, which is the strongest pay transparency legislation in the state of Ohio. We are thrilled to be here today to share more about this legislation, and if passed, it will help address the stubborn gender and racial pay gap, and will also promote efficiency in the hiring process for employers. I want to just take a step back for a second and talk about the gender and racial pay gap and paint a picture for folks. So in 2025, on average, women still earn 83 cents on the dollar. For Black women, that's 66 cents on the dollar, and for Latinas, it's 58 cents on the dollar. Those are staggering numbers, but when you look at them over the course of a 40-year career, it really paints the picture, I think, even more starkly. So for women over a 40-year career, the gender wage gap costs on average women $414,000. For Black women, that's $976,000, and for Latina women, it's $1.1 million. So this is not just about earnings in a certain time period, it's about earnings over a career, and what that does for building generational wealth, for supporting families. And while the pay gap impacts all women, it impacts mothers even more significantly. This is often known as the motherhood penalty. Women face economic disadvantages after becoming mothers, including lower wages, fewer opportunities for career advancement, and reduced access to promotions. This, combined with the lack of paid leave for most workers, the high cost of childcare, little flexibility in work settings, can lead and sometimes force women out of the workforce while they are caring for young children or family members. And if they do return to work, they're unlikely to be paid at the rate they would have otherwise been paid if staying in the workforce. So these policies are really important to keeping women in the workforce and keeping their earnings increasing.
While the cause of this pay gap and the effects are significant, we are really grateful to be talking today about solutions to this, because there are proven solutions to reducing the gender and racial pay gap. The legislation before you will help address this gap. It will require employers to include pay ranges for all posted positions, and it will ban the question about asking for applicants' salary history. There's a term that is used in this, it's called level the playing field, which I love. And this is important, this is especially important in a city that has lower wages, over 50% people of color, and where Black women have historically had amongst the worst health and educational outcomes. These policies have been widely adopted in over 22 states and in our peer cities in Ohio, including Columbus, Cincinnati, and Toledo. And the research on this is quite clear. In states that have enacted these policies, women's wages have increased by 6%, while men's wages have stayed the same or not decreased. Unemployment has not increased, and GDP has stayed the same or increased. So there is no significant impact to employment, GDP, but there is a market impact to women's wages. And so we are really appreciative of your consideration of this legislation and the impact it will have in our city, on our workers, and on our families. And I'm delighted to turn it over to Grace, who can share more about the details and implementation to ensure that if this policy is passed, that it is implemented in a way that it has the intended impact that we're all hoping for.
Thank you, Abby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was excellent. Honestly, I'm blown away. We're putting this together too. That was nice. Okay, so I'm Grace. I'm the executive director with the Northeast Ohio Worker Center, and I've been fortunate enough to work with many of you on a number of pro-worker policies over the last few years. One of the things that I think is really special is like the backdrop behind all of this is that we have a state house that's really working to undermine working people. Certainly now we have a federal administration that's working to undermine working people. And that's had a real chilling effect on pro-worker policy in other parts of the state. And that just has not been the case with this council nor this administration. And I feel like this pay equity ordinance is a really beautiful testament to the way in which we've all been committed to really threading the needle in an otherwise really difficult environment. And so just to take that time and to name it as a continuation of, I think, work we've all been building together. As Abby mentioned, this policy is going to be enforced by the Fair Employment Wage Board. Councilwoman House Jones, I couldn't have said it better. This is not about penalizing employers who are not clear on this pay transparency ordinance. It is about helping in partnership to bring employers into compliance and to overall increase the quality of jobs here in the city of Cleveland. Hopefully to be able to model to other places about what real leadership and job quality looks like. You can see that with the anti-wage theft ordinance that we passed together. Cuyahoga County went on and passed a very similar ordinance, and Euclid was the very first suburb in the entire state to pass an ordinance that was modeled off of the work that you all led on here. The big difference in the way in which Cleveland, I think, shows its commitment to moving the needle is this enforcement mechanism, because otherwise it's just words on paper. And so I will not reiterate what's already been said, but the process is that this will be a worker-driven complaint system. When a worker experiences an issue at work related to the lack of a paid band on a job posting or being asked about their salary history, they will be able to file a complaint with the Fair Employment Wage Board. I believe, shout out to one of our FEWB members here.
Kate, why don't you come to the table?
Oh man, poor Kate. And the idea then will be that the FEWB will work with that employer to get them into compliance. And then certainly there are civil penalties that are possible, but that's not the purpose. There's no way to penalize our way out of this. We really have to model good employment practice and stick with it. So that is the story as I know it.
Can I chime in?
Yes,
Just to
of
go a
course.
little bit deeper into what does the complaint-driven system look like? Individuals will have 180 days from the time that the incident has occurred to file your complaint with the FEWB. Going through a process, if it is substantiated, a first violation will be up to $1,000. The second violation within a 5-year time period will be $2,500. And then if there are 2 or more violations within a 5-year time period, then the civil penalty can get up to $5,000. And again, as we've indicated, this is not to penalize because, again, beyond just the enforcement of the complaints from the FEWB, they are charged with working to educate employers, educating communities to understand what we are working to do, and hopefully create an environment where people know we want to work in partnership and not penalize it, but we actually do have to have an enforcement mechanism in place to ensure that we have community partners and community employers who are being real fair with their employees. So.
Got it. Thank you. Kate, do you want to add anything?
I'll just say I'm one member of the Fair Employment Wage Board. I don't necessarily speak on behalf of the board, but I came today because I'm supportive of this ordinance, and I look forward to learning more and being supportive as a member of the board and how we can help enforce it if and when it is passed.
Thank you for that. And yesterday we had a meeting with John from the Fair Wage Board, and he said something, and he thanked us. He said, City Council has been really passing very progressive legislation, which for me is not even progressive. For me, it's just addressing everyday people's needs and catching up, yeah. And I know there was a lot of work put into this, so I do want to thank you all. One of the questions that came through, and I know you touched on it, Councilwoman House Jones, is when could people start submitting their complaints, and what's the process? What's the process? How does this move from department? Administration is the one handling. I don't know who wants to answer that, but that just
So
text
part of
message
this
came through.
thing is when this is hopefully successfully passed, given the opportunity for the Fair Employment Wage Board to come up with a process, like formally, because they are going to be the actual administrators of the enforcing the law. And so really having to, this is probably going to be their first real work assignment to align and figure out what would be the best way utilizing and with support of the administration. I'm sure if they have their website. I think there's a little bit of a website, but there is a level of working with the administration. And so it is intentionally remaining silent. We don't spell out how that process would work because we know for the people that are administering it, it's important for them to lay it out. But they are charged with the responsibility. Once that process is established, it will be communicated out to the public at large.
So everyone's going to be educated. There's an education platform for that. Abby?
There we go. We've also been talking with Cincinnati and then Colorado, places that have passed and implemented this, to kind of learn what was their process to implementation, what did they do to educate employers and workers, what was the educational materials, like what was the process. And so our hope is if and when this passes, that we will have some best practices about what has worked well in other places to inform the Fair Employment Wage Board's process.
To the chair, I'd also add that this ordinance, if and when it is passed, it has 180 days until it's in effect. And this is really to give time to educate employers on what the ordinance is. When Columbus passed their ordinance, they gave a full year for education. And so they did, they met with small businesses, they held webinars, they did hearings and invited speakers, and there was a lot of outreach with business chambers. So there are some good practices out there that the city could do.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Saban. So I'm going to open it up to my colleagues, Councilman Slife.
Yeah, before I offer any commentary, I do see on the tablet there's kind of a technical amendment from the administration. I'm happy to make the amendment, but I don't know if the law department wants to, or whomever would like to comment on the amendment of inserting section 669.99 into section 1.
Okay, so you want to proffer the amendment?
Good afternoon, committee members. Stephanie Melnick from the Law Department. So this amendment was actually, it was a typo. We corrected. So we attached this amendment before it was heard by a committee, so you have it attached to the legislation. So the councilman already read the amendment. So just, if you're ready to pass this, you're passing this ordinance as amended, but there's not a need to do a motion at the same time. Because
Easy
it was,
enough.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't have to read it into
So.
the system, okay.
Perfect. I'll just comment. I've been, engaged in this process as well, and I think that speaking to Councilman House Jones' point about the Fair Employment Wage Board coming out with the specifics on how this can be best administered. I think we all know that for many years the Fair Employment Wage Board sort of existed on paper, but not in reality, and not that this gives them a sole reason to exist. There's a justification for a Fair Employment Wage Board for a variety of reasons, but I think this arguably creates kind of a consistent reason for this board to be meeting, to be focused on the education, and if we're going to have this board, I think we should be empowering them with all the different tools and legislation we can to make sure that they're able to operate on all cylinders. I spend a lot of time, Chairwoman, speaking with some small businesses to, understand kind of their perspective on this. And I know one particular business said, very supportive of the idea of posting salary bands, and it makes sense for their perspective. They post a position and people take time off work and they get there and the interview only to realize that this isn't exactly in line with where they were hoping to be, or people take the job because there's a misunderstanding, and then there's more attrition and appreciating and kind of the self-enactment of posting salary bands, recognizing that it is a best practice. In the same vein, it's a seemingly innocent question to ask one's salary history, but if you have a history of being underpaid and that can justify a continuance of being underpaid, and really the idea is just making up numbers. If a business is budgeting between $20 and $25 an hour for a position, we don't want to create some perverse incentive for someone to be paid 21 instead of 25 when they're qualified to be paid that higher rate. And I'll also say, we as a municipality, just putting this in, if we put our own best interests forward, we spend a lot of time trying to figure out ways to solve poverty, and we do that through wage theft and universal basic employment, pilots. But so anything we can do to not just do stopgaps of poverty, but to help bring people out of poverty is not only the right thing to do for people at a personal human level, but we pave our streets and pay for paramedics and plow snow because people pay income tax. So if people are paying 2.5% on $25 an hour versus $20 an hour, that's not that much in the grand scheme of things. But if you multiply it by how many people are working in the city of Cleveland, we are selling ourselves short if we're not ensuring that people working here are being paid what they deserve and what they need to live. So that's a very interdependent system, and for all of these reasons and more, I've been very supportive of this legislation. I really do want to thank our external partners, the law department, my council colleagues, Brooke on the policy staff, Jennifer O'Leary, who is also this would not be here if it weren't for all of her engagement, because this has been a long time coming, and I'm very excited that Kate and all of the Johns on the Fair Employment Wage Board, there's many, are it seems excited to carry this work forward. So I thank you for hearing this. Thank you for everybody, and I'm happy to see this going forward today.
Thank you, Councilman. I feel like you should have been the last one. That should have been a closing statement, right?
So with that,
With that, meeting's adjourned. Councilwoman Spencer.
Well, I do, Madam Chair, want to take a moment to thank my colleagues, Councilwoman Stephanie House-Jones, yourself, Councilman Santana, and Councilman Charles Slife for co-sponsoring this legislation. I am honored to be your colleague, and I'm very grateful. So thank you all for your leadership. And I think this has been a great discussion. I really appreciated the clarification about, well, I guess I do have a question just to increase my own knowledge since we're all at the table together. Could whoever wishes to respond, I would just appreciate a brief update on the overall status, if you will, of the Fair Employment Wage Board. Is everyone fully placed? Is it up and running? It would just be helpful to kind of understand a status update through the chair.
Through the chair to the councilwoman. The board was fully seated towards the end of last year. We held our first meeting last year. Initially, and by ordinance, we're required to meet quarterly. And so initially we were thinking of that cadence and then quickly realized that we had more work to do than just meeting quarterly, at least initially, to sort of stand up the operational apparatus that's been mentioned. I mean, we are responsible for enforcing some other ordinances and need mechanisms for complaints to be filed and need to plan some ways to do community education. So I think we've met 3 or 4 times. We have our next meeting on Thursday of this week, and we're meeting monthly now. We decided to contract with John Ryan. The Greater Cleveland Works posted an RFP for a consultant to, support the board in a variety of ways, and we decided to contract with John Ryan to lead that work. So we have our first meeting with him on Thursday, and looking forward to him guiding us through setting up some of these structures so that we can be responsive to the responsibilities we already have, and be ready to take on more responsibilities if this ordinance is passed.
That was very helpful. Thank you. That was a great snapshot. And I also wanted to follow up on the previous discussion about, it was discussed already, but the complaint process. And I know that that process has to be stood up, and the board will be looking at other best practices from other cities about how that's been done. I'm also very interested in that. So there's the employer education piece, but there's also the public education piece in terms of know your rights. And that is such an interesting challenge always, is what is the best way for the public to know that they have access to this new right, if you will. So I was curious to know, well, first of all, I know I can offer myself, and I'm sure I can speak on behalf of my colleagues. We manage our own ward-based communication channels. I think that's something I would love to include in newsletters, social media, that kind of thing, to my Ward 15 audience, if you will. But I mean, things like that would be very helpful for council to have, so we can also help to communicate the existence of this process, or these, the various aspects of how workers can access their rights here. So that's one piece. But curious about if we've already gleaned something on the public education side about best practices elsewhere and what we might anticipate that looks like. And if it's too soon, that's okay. I'm very, very curious.
So we just had a few of these conversations in the past 2 weeks, but what seems to have worked well in other places is both webinars, but also doing kind of like a toolkit and the train-the-trainer model. So really partnering with community organizations across the city who reach into different neighborhoods and different populations, working to train people at those organizations to understand the legislation and people's rights, and whether that is through pamphlets or through a training, like understanding what is the best mode of communication, but really not having it sit in one place, but be a network of organizations across the city that are working on the education piece of this.
That's great. It jumps to mind that as you're speaking of partners and people who can train the trainers, I think Legal Aid, the Legal Aid Society, has it may already have something related to fair employment. I'm not sure, some part of their practice. So I think they could be a good partner to bring in on some of that public education as well.
Yeah, and we welcome ideas from you all in your different wards of who would be good to partner with, for sure.
Those were the questions I had, and I also would like to thank Abby and Grace for your leadership and for showing us the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Next up, I have Councilman Joe Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Certainly, I'm in support of this particular piece of legislation. After reviewing it, it looks like it is bore out of the Equal Pay Act of 1963, and it mirrors the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act of 2009. I guess my question would be, a couple of questions here on this particular piece of legislation, would be, is there any provisions here that prohibit retaliation against employers or employees who want to, have an issue with an employee after 180 days?
I could take this. One of the things, so at the Worker Center, we do labor rights education, and one thing I can tell you is that every person that stands up for themselves at work experiences some type of retaliation. I mean, it just, you can say it doesn't happen, you can say it's illegal, but it does happen. And so I think it's a great question. I really appreciate you bringing it up. I think one element of this is going to be that this is a pre-employment issue that happens. So ideally, the issue will be dealt with prior to someone's employment taking place, and so you would be hopeful that that doesn't bleed into their employment situation, but it certainly could. And I think I don't know that I have any good answers. I mean, I think it's the reality of the world we live in, but I certainly think that it's something to be considered.
I think that when we look at the 1963 law, and then we look at Mrs. Ledbetter's law of 2009, one of the things that we see in other local municipalities is coming back after the federal government and putting in more enforceable rules, regulations, process, procedures, and laws. So if we do this here, we certainly want to do something different than what is already on the federal level, which is what we already have. We already have this law here already in place. The question is, how do we take what we have that's in front of us right now to ensure that there's transparency and there's no retaliation in the workplace? And I think that this, I'm not sure if I perused through this, but I'm not sure if we have a tiny enough piece here to really, have some justice for those employees who are retaliated against.
Through the councilwoman to the through the chairperson to the councilman. Actually, section 669.02.
What page?
Okay, this is on page 3. It's Division A4 specifically provides.
Can you allow me a chance to get to it, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you. What section?
669.02.
Okay.
And Division A lists what's unlawful discriminatory practices. It lists 4 subdivisions. Number 4 says refuse to hire or otherwise disfavor, injure, or retaliate against an applicant for not disclosing their salary history. So it's like a whistleblower protection.
So what would be the something in there that can really, because even though it's there, how do you hold a company or an employer to it? I mean, what is it? Where's I would presume the teeth, if they do this, what would happen to them?
Through the chair to the council person. Again, it's kind of what was stated earlier. There's a process in here that the Fair Employment Wage Board has been empowered to receive complaints, to investigate the complaints. And again, the intention is cooperation, right? To get employers all on board. Now, if the employer if you have a bad employer who doesn't get on board, the ordinance does provide for civil penalties. So there's your teeth.
Right, it's not enough teeth, and let me say this, because that's the reason why we continue to keep putting these same laws in place. We have it in 1963. We have the Ledbetter law this is coming after, like a carbon copy. But the issue is, at least in my mind, Madam Chairwoman, is what will we do? Because we can pass laws all we want. So there's two things that's important about passing new rules and new regulations. First, having the funds and the resources to be able to let folks know that they have this right. Because if they're not aware that this right is available, what good is it to me? You know, walking in and trying to get employed. I have a business, and I've been discriminated at the end of this table multiple times in terms of getting a fair pay for the work that we do and our men and women do on a daily basis. So the issue is, just my humble suggestion, Madam Chairwoman, is if you'd like me to, I can draft some stuff that could hold accountable some of these people, as well as give the tools to the board so that they can deal with these companies and corporations. Because a number of these corporations, Madam Chairwoman, they just absolutely would discriminate, and they're not. And it's very difficult to know that you're discriminated against if they don't, for an example, ask those questions. So that's my humble suggestion. I'm in support of it. If you want to pass it as it is, it'll be the same as so many other pieces of legislation that we pass. The challenge is what tools do we have to hold accountable these people from their continued discrimination, especially as you have stated here, minority neighborhoods and communities. You can just look at some of the neighborhoods in the city of Cleveland and see how bad they are, where people don't even have the finances to fix their homes up because they're doing the work, but they're not getting paid their value. So for me, Madam Chairwoman, when I sit here at the end of this table, I'm a frustrated person because of the simple fact that I'm constantly dealing with this issue in my community and throughout the city of Cleveland, as well as from some of the people who unfortunately was discriminated against who now work for me.
Councilwoman House Jones.
Thank you. To the
respond?
chair, to Councilman Jones, I know we are always welcoming to ideas and suggestions to improve legislation. If it is the preview of the committee to pass the legislation, we will welcome any amendments that you will have when it's passed on to finance.
Exactly what I was going to suggest. So I'm not sure when it's going to be heard in finance. We'll get a date, but you have time to work with the policy team and send your amendments or just give your feedback on it. And
Yeah.
remember, we still have 180 days to work out the process, the education piece. So there's still some time.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. And then adding on to that, because I think something else is important too, is if we put this in place, right, we should be fundamentally thoughtful too, because I did read in the back portion of this about the contractors, because that's critical, because it's the first thing I was looking at, is when a contractor receives a contract and he or she might be a minority contractor, we see a lot of discrimination in the contracting world. It's absolutely crazy. I can go and get a contract for, say, 15 properties or 25 properties, and then I have someone white step in, and they can have the same property list, and they're getting paid 2 times, sometimes 3 times more. It's not that they're more qualified or that they're more experienced. It's just that they happen to be white males. And then here's what really hurts, Madam Chairwoman, to the table, is that when you have a white female whose husband is the prime contractor, and she is getting all the contracts. So, and it's absolutely legal. And so she'll go, and I got some names, I'm not gonna drop them here at the table, of some big contractors who do a lot of work, and they have their wives as subcontractors, and then they have someone who is served in the service, a veteran, and then they get those points too. So I just think that if we sit here and we pass this, it ought to mean something. And so I'll put something together, and I'll send it to you, Madam Chairwoman, and you can submit it to the distinguished lady.
Thank you, Councilman. And I would say, I mean, there's a lot of issues, right? Like, this is just a start to address all these issues. But, I mean, we have citizens, immigrants that are being underpaid, right? Like, we could go on and on of the situations that are going on. But this is really a good start, and I would suggest you give your feedback to the policy research team. Councilwoman Gray? Oh, and Abby, did you want to respond?
Yeah, and you know, this is actually just to build on what Councilwoman Santana said, which is that the endless ways in which workers are violated,
Yes.
it truly, truly is endless. And if we work to make this piece of legislation address all of those ways in a single piece, I think we would be hard pressed to meet the moment around the gender pay gap. But certainly, as your colleagues can attest to, we love looking at these types of policies and would be so interested in other ways that we can continue to protect working people. But that would just be the note that I would make, like right there with you. Like, this doesn't begin to do all the things, but it does do one thing in a best practice sort of way.
And you know what, Madam Chairwoman, the distinguished lady is right. You can't address, unfortunately, all the discriminatory practices that are happening, because as soon as you put something down in black and white, they don't find another way to get around it. And so my suggestion is, again, there's two things I think are important here. I think the first one is, who does the educating to the public about this, right? Because that's important. And then two, Madam Chairwoman, to the distinguished lady, is really having something transformative in this legislation that separates it from the 1963 piece, as well as Mrs. Ledbetter's piece in 2009. And I think that would, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a whole bunch of other things added here. It's just that we have to have some teeth here where we can really hold these employers accountable. And then when you start talking about holding people accountable, people get nervous. And I think that we need to protect our workers. If we put a law out there, we ask them to come forth, and then they have no protections, because guess what? These people will retaliate against them. So we have to, if we're going to do this, Madam Chairwoman, we have to also have the protections in this legislation to protect those people who come out here. I think this term, Madam Chairwoman, is a whistleblower. You know, so when they do whistleblow, do they get any protection? And that would be if someone want to ask that question. If they don't, then that's fine. I'll just reserve and yield the floor, Madam Chairwoman. I don't have any further thing to
Thank you,
add to it. It's
Councilman.
just those two things are very important if we do this.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Gray?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say, I think this ordinance is really great. It's a lot to read. It's a lot to read, but I am in support of it too. But I just want to say this, Abby. When I first came into Chairwoman, to Abby, when I first came into the position, you and I had a lunch. This is what we went over, correct?
We went over this and then the paid parental leave.
And the paid parental leave, exactly. Okay, because I know we went over a lot.
Yeah.
When I first came
Yep.
in,
Yep.
she's my constituent, and everybody know her dad. So I just say the list. I know we went over quite a bit. So I'm appreciative that you continue this, and I know next thing I heard about it, I heard it through Chairwoman, Councilwoman Santana. I mean, we came in, she brought me to a meeting, and she presented this to me again, so I can read over it and know that you brought it back, and everyone went over it with you. So congratulations to that. So I'm in support of this, but I also want to echo my council colleague, Joe Jones. I want to give you an example of what happened to me when I was in my younger years.
Sad.
When I was in my younger years, and I was in my 20s, and I worked at a prominent hospital, two of them. I have 21 years at two different hospitals, my first two jobs. So, and due to the salary, they always tell you, do not expose your salary to your coworker.
Yeah.
And that's discriminatory. We knew it then. And we did not understand why, because we was in our 20s, and that's manipulation of your age and of the workplace. And I'm going to name one of the two, but that was evident. That's when I became an activist. Yes. And I had 8 other females. We all became activists on the job. And we went to HR. We went to the manager. And we protested. Why can't we expose our salary to each other? What was the problem? Okay? And then we went back with our own rules, our own agenda. Either you change this, or we going to the media. And we were only in our 20s. And I'm way older than 20 now. Yeah. Okay? So then it's just how you have to band together with your other colleagues to understand how much do you make? What is your salary? Because they were telling us not to tell each other. But when we exposed it, 8 of us young women in our 20s, we made a difference on that one particular big name hospital. And we stayed forthwith with that. And they heard us, and they made a difference because everybody started exposing their salary. And I stayed on that position. I stayed at that job for 14 and a half years until I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. Okay? Did my best, and the rest of us, all of us walked out the door at different times, but we were sick and tired of the discriminatory practices that these jobs have. So that's why I understand what my colleague Joe Jones is saying. You have to make a difference, but you got to understand how these operations work, because I worked in the HR department at another hospital, and I learned the practices, and then I went to Bob and Wallace, and Bob and Wallace and took the management HR class to understand better practices in an HR division, to understand what was going on in these corporations that was controlling the salary. So just to say the least, we're all on the same page here. You have to grow to understand, to have experience. So I do support this this ordinance, and I'm appreciative that we had that conversation when I came in, to know that you pursued this. You pursued this, and you're at the table with a group of women who's here to support it too. So I just want to say that.
Thank you,
Councilwoman Chairwoman.
Councilwoman.
You're welcome.
You know, I always say that the best policymakers are people that experience, right, these challenges on a daily way. So anyhow, thank you for that. So I want to thank, once again, Abby, Grace, Ms. Sabin. You worked tons on this legislation. Councilwoman House Jones, your passion is just so evident. Councilman Slive, although they think this is all with female, that was female-led, Councilman Slive is such a woman supporter. I love it. But, you know, men are also impacted by this as well. Yeah. Really quick, I was just looking at statistics. It'll take 175 years for Latinos to achieve pay equity in comparison to white men, and 119 years for Black women to catch up. So, and this is by Institute of Women Policy. So we are way behind. So this is transformational legislation. And once again, I want to thank everyone. Jennifer's not here. But everyone's involvement, and I look forward to just really getting that data and collecting that data of how many people are experiencing this, because we've all experienced that, exactly what the story that you shared. So with no further ado, no other questions, ordinance number 104-2025 as amended is approved and will be heard in finance. Thank you all. This meeting is adjourned. And it's 3 o'clock. Yeah. We did.